Good afternoon.
Hi. So just to tell you who I am, TVS's eldest son, Rajam, Rajam's eldest son, Ratnam's eldest son is me. So I'm actually the fourth generation. I am also a business coach, mentor of younger CEOs. I also work with business families.
I wanted to explore the stories of leaders from the point of view of what has spirituality meant in their lives and what kind of a force has it been in their growth and development. So I moved to Goa now 6 years ago, and I've been doing leadership retreats primarily based in Goa, but with people from all over the world. And while I've been here, what I've realized is that my main area of work used to be emotional intelligence. But as we continue to become clearer on emotions, we also begin to develop a clear route to spiritual growth. This has been my experience. So I wanted to say whether you'd like to start with exploring, what you consider to be the ethos of your family's business.
Ethos of a family has a very strong part to play in the leadership style as well, right? I mean, that is something which, and it's vastly different. Our companies in Tamil Nadu, for example, or say Karnataka, is vastly different from how we manage. Not vastly different, is a little different from how we manage a company in, say, the UK or the US, because one has to really tune in the culture of the people. The TVS family goes back, as you know, 1911 when it was actually formed, right? And that was by Mr. TVS, my great grandfather. We are taught how to behave, how to act, what's important, so many things in terms of human values. It takes time and effort, emotional, IQ, EQ is not automatic. It does not come. You are not born with it. It needs to be cultivated. It needs to be nurtured. It needs to be recognized. It needs to be appreciated. That's an important part of success of a leader. Certainly. Right? Gratitude, compassion. I mean, so many things are important. And that's what we are taught at a young age.
Would you be able to recollect any behaviors or any instances from your uncles and fathers where you were young and it impressed upon you what compassion and gratitude can do in terms of decision making?
Our fathers and uncles are role models in this. So we see them do well and we, follow them. In the 60s, India was what? Licensed Raj, correct? I can't quote names here, but it is obviously it goes right to the top, okay? The top, Delhi at the top. 4 key licenses for the manufacturing companies were given to us. Locus TVS, Brakes India, Sundaram Clayton, Wheels India. And the man at the top said, if I give the license to the TVS family, I know they will feed 1,500 families for each license. And that's what I want. Now, translating that is a part of our core business ethos, which is we never, ever pursue personal wealth.
Amazing.
The pursuit of money and personal wealth has never been an ethos or a prime objective of the TVS family. Never. We try to create jobs. We try to create assets. We feel it's an obligation to improve the standard of living for any person that works with us, and so on. That's one example in the 60s, right, which made a big impression on me. There are several, but this is just one.
development as a leader, what role has compassion played when you had to make difficult decisions? And has it been an
See, to
easy thing to partner with compassion?
see, I would say there are three people. When I say there are three people who have really influenced me a lot. Okay. One is my uncle Suresh, right? Krishna. The second is my father, of course, though I didn't have a very good relationship with him, but I watched his style. And the third is another uncle of mine, Venu, right? Venu Srinivasan. Venu Srinivasan, is the chairman of the TVS bikes. These three people, in a large way, I have learned from observing them, and they haven't consciously told me anything. Right? I just watching them how they work, looking at their good points, and trying to take in their good points. Right. So these are three people, outstanding leaders that the family has had.
So in your leadership decisions, and even now in you have your areas of intense interest, like for example the cycling and the biking, and you've taken it on as a space in which you mentor others, you make things possible for them in terms of opportunities that would otherwise not be possible. In all of these things, there's obviously an alignment and a coherence between whatever purposefully is done by you, and how you make things come together for it. So would you say that there's any role that spirituality plays in these kind of aspects of your life?
You need to be passionate. You need to put your heart and soul into what you are doing.
Hmm.
And you never worry about the results.
Hmm.
Right? Now that is, I know this is from somewhere in the Gita, that results is not up to you. It's up to so many other things. It's up to so many uncontrollable things. So we never get elated. If we do really well at work too, we make a huge amount of cash. We say, okay, that's fine. We make a loss. Hey, that's fine. That's an experience too. What do you learn, from that? So that, I think, is one of the most important things that we always try to remember. Being respectful towards people and all that, of course, is all obvious things, right? But controlling the mind,
Hmm.
controlling the mind, being detached, completely detached, being process driven, being passionate about what you're doing, uh, you know, um, helping others get what they want, not worrying about what you want, helping others get what they want. Because if I help you get what you want, I'll get automatically what I want, right?
Are there things that you do today from your space of for want of a better word, we'll call it maturity, or the experience of having lived your life, that you wish you knew things, or you knew some things when you were younger?
I'll give you two examples, which I think have been costly in my life. Number one, I never had a mentor.
Hmm.
I never had a mentor. I was a rebel. I was an independent. I never had a mentor. I never believed. I thought I knew it all. I was an arrogant brat. As a result, I isolated myself from the rest of the family. I think the biggest mistake I made was that.
Hmm.
Okay. Younger kids, and this is where families should take a proactive role. Families, especially families like us and larger families, must take a proactive role in mentoring young adults, not just mentoring them in how to manage companies, which also I missed, but also mentoring them in terms of how to be good people, which
Hmm.
also I missed. And that is why my passions today are coaching younger kids and how to be good CEOs and how to be good people, and business families how to manage themselves. But these are the mistakes that I didn't have. And I feel that it's a major, major handicap, which I need to share. Let me give you a real live example. Okay. We've had lockdowns now, correct?
Yes.
Last year, this year. A level of compassion and feeling and doing what is right. So I think, one has to applaud whoever, I think, gave no cuts or very minimal cuts. I think that has to be applauded. That's a direct result of the owners thinking in a very compassionate way. Because somebody who's working in the shop floor, he needs every rupee. Your salary wasn't cut. How would you feel about the company when you actually came back to work?
A sense of devotion and familyhood.
Absolutely. You would just make it up in the next 2, 3, 4 months, right? So is it a compassionate attitude or is it a smart business decision? What do you think?
It can be both.
It has to be both, right? It has to be both. So there you go. So compassion can always be sandwiched between good business sense also. Okay, let me share with you something else, right? You're a part of my family. When I say you're a part of my family, you're working on the factory floor, and that makes you a part of my family, right? I'm the owner. It is my obligation to pay you at least 7% more every year. It is my commitment to pay you at least 7% more every year. And you do your best. Versus, here is a contract. This is in black and white. If you don't do this, I don't give you this. That's business sense. But you are on the floor and you know that the management is committed to treating you as a part of the family and is committed to paying you more. What do you think is going to be the difference in energy level in the shop floor for a company like that?
Phenomenal, because it's not transactional.
Exactly, yeah. Now, not transactional, exactly. Now, people think that TVS have some, secrets. No. It's my uncles who treat people like people. Gratitude too, right? Gratitude plays a part, right?
In your turning around from being rebellious to, reaching a place of understanding, what was, the impetus or experiences that you think led you there?
See, the first step is when I was 11 years old, 10 years old, my mother sent me off to school, boarding school, Mayo College, right? And she said independence above all else. So that stuck with me like, that I must not rely on anybody for anything, which is good. The other hand is missing a mentor. I was also very arrogant, right? Then as time goes by, I was saying, hey, I'm wrong. The others are right. I have to change, not just for me, for the sake of my family, for the sake of my kids, because I can't be isolated and left out. So I'm being stupid. I'm being dumb. So in the larger interests of my family, and especially my kids, and my own future, I felt it is far better to get my head screwed on back again straight and, admit to my faults, admit to all the not so right things which I did, and get back into the mainstream. It happened when the family accepted me back into the main TVS board in 2006. But I started the rapprochement in 98 itself.
So that's 8 years of making it back home.
Yeah, it had to happen slowly, right? Slowly. So it is something done, which, see, if you're wrong, you must accept it, right? There's no harm in that.
And even that
so
takes a lot of courage. And, having that clarity that I'm wrong and I need to do something about it, what do you feel are your foundational things in your gut feeling or at an intuitive level? What drove you uh, to reckoning with humility?
So adversity, I have worked alone, all that I've done. So mental strength is extremely strong. So when you're mentally strong, you have no problems to admit that you're wrong. When you accept yourself, you have no problems to ask for help. It's that self-acceptance and mental strength that says, hey, I must do what's right. This I learned when I sold books door to door in the US, right? After school, fantastic times. You knock on 60 doors a day, 60. How many do you think greet you with love and affection and say, oh, my dear boy, come on in?
If you're lucky, one.
Correct. About 2, 3, right? 2 and 3. So you need to learn to think on your feet. You can back up. So that's when you say, hey, you get rejected. Rejection is a part of life. It doesn't mean that you should take your eyes away from the goal. You want to do something, you believe in it, stand for it, but it must be right, it must be fair, it must not hurt people, right? Obviously.
When you became a father, and now when you look at your role as a father and the role of spirituality in it, because I guess becoming parents is a big area of leadership. What do you feel, has transformed in you as a result of becoming a parent?
The biggest problem I'm facing is acceptance. That's what the Gita tells you, right? You love someone, accept them for the way they are, right? Don't try to change them. I'm still trying to wrestle with that, but I have to accept them. I have to support them. That's tough. But as a father, that's the biggest problem that I'm still having. Because if you don't accept them and don't support them and love them for what they are, guess what they will do?
Go further away from you.
Exactly. And that's not what you want, right?
And maybe you can accept that this is part of their exploratory phase and they are also spiraling around a center.
I hope so. Right? I hope so. Right? The other thing I've learned a lot is you can't control people with money, right? You must earn their love, respect. They must want to be with you. And that's another change which I've had to make.
Actually, that's a very profound statement. It's not something many people are able to get to.
Management lesson which will be in good stead, which will help you in any walk of life. He said, don't assume anything. He said, don't assume your wife loves you. Tell her that. Don't assume your salesmen are working. Check. Don't assume a process is being followed in the factory. Set up a system to make sure it's being done. Don't assume you're going to make money today. Check to be sure everything is in place. Don't assume the raw materials are going to come on time. Check. So the best rule which I've ever followed is don't assume anything. And the biggest mistake most men make, husbands make, and managers make is they assume. They assume things. And even if you are not managing day to day, you need to set up the systems where you have a feel for what is going on. You have a pulse for what is going on. That's one of my best management lessons. There are others, but I thought we'd end with this one.
Some, some of your words that are going to stay with me. about looking at, what's called the shadow sides of ourselves, and sharing it with other young people who may really benefit from, so in a way you've performed the role of a mentor in this interview, and I really look forward to how everyone will hear this and how it'll reach their hearts and their heads.
But hey, wonderful to talk to you. All the very best in your, career, and take care, stay safe.
Thank you.